Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball. This is episode 24. So we've gone forward a little bit. I don't know exactly how many games it's been, but I think we've stabilized at least a bit. We're 5 and 5 over the last 10, 26 and 35 overall. We're starting to pull a little bit of a gap over the relegation, but we're talking maybe one or two games better. Salt Lake is at 22 and 36. Detroit 23 and 37. So we're 2.5 games ahead of the drop right now. But again, the trend has remained that the top teams in the conference are literally the four other teams in my division. So it's really, really hard when all the best teams around are the teams that we play most often. And meanwhile, the Loyalty East continues to just be absolute garbage. Not a single team at 500. Hartford, of course, is close, but they are really benefiting from the fact that they have some really bad teams around them that they play more often without that balanced scheduling. So, ERA 27th, defensive efficiency is 31st. The pitching, which was middle tier a year ago, is very much near the bottom. The hitting, which was tops a year ago, is still fairly good, but it's definitely not at the top. And that's what's kind of got us where we're at right now. I'd feel a lot better if we had a Monterey and a Glendale. We don't have that in our conference. So we've got literally the toughest scenario of any team in the entire league. We've got the best division by far. We've got the best conference by far. There's no bottom feeders that are just obvious relegation favorites. You know, Salt Lake is better than both of these teams. They've got some clear teams with Cincinnati and Oakland looking to bounce back, but they've got a few other contenders. Meanwhile, Miami is fourth place, where Cincinnati and Oakland are in the two promotion spots. So it's very different story in the Loyalty Conference. And yeah, well, we'll do what we can, but it is a challenge for sure. Also, the two fewer teams in our conference compared to the other conference, definitely not helping things out. 6, 6, and 6. They've got 18 to our 5, 5, and 5 to our 15. So it's actually +3. I don't know how we've ended up in this scenario. Was there an expansion team at some point brought in? Maybe. Not sure how we suddenly have an uneven number, but anyway, yeah, 3 fewer teams, which means the odds, are that much higher that you could face relegation when there's a smaller sample size. Off the waiver wire, we've finally added one player to the roster. That's Jason Adam, 3.5-star reliever. You can see, though, when he's compared with Lancelotti's actually got better movement on his stuff. But the actual stuff, even though they're both rated at 65, you can see there's definitely an advantage for Adam. Adam's got 65-70, which means he's almost got a 70, where Lancelotti is a 55-70. That's almost a 60. So one's pushing high end, one's pushing a bit on the low end of that, and I think that's ultimately the difference between these two guys. Either way, he was a bit of an upgrade from our 2.5-star Cervello, who's down in AAA now. I've also taken our draftees and sorted everything out in terms of what level we're playing at. I pushed 3 or 4 guys up into higher spots among the FAR system to make a little room, as our rookie team was a little large. It had 40 players on it. Now it's down to about 36 or so. Still a little bit large. But Jordan Brown, the second-round pick, signability did say impossible, but we went for it anyway. We tried to give him a much higher amount than what he was looking for, but he broke off, so it did not happen. But we got everybody else signed, and that's good. So only one failed to sign with us, and we will, since it was the first 3 rounds, we will get a compensation pick next season. which is why the risk was worth it. Obviously, the season hasn't been great, but we are making some progress in one key area. We've moved up the farm system list quite a bit, really showing that it was a good draft. We're up to 8th now when we were much lower. I think we were down around 18th to 20th last time I had checked. So at 8th now, we're looking good. For one thing, we actually have a list of 5, and there could be more than 5 on that list, where around us there's plenty that are not. Starting pitcher Carcamo is the top guy, and Carcamo, this is somebody that we just got. For the first time, I've picked up an international free agent. So going through the international amateurs, we got our guy and actually got him for a fairly reasonable amount. It was only about $2.5 million. We can't afford any of the other guys at the moment, but it was so good. There you go. Yeah, $2.4 million. So we got him signed on for that, and he instantly comes in as the number 11 guy overall. So fantastic on that one. We're going to leave him where he's at, I think, for the time being, and then probably next year bring him stateside, or maybe we want to bring him stateside immediately. He's only 16 though. I think we might not actually be able to bring him back for a couple of years. All-Star game rosters, McCormick was picked as the starter at the catcher position, even though honestly he was the second best so far this season, maybe even just third best. Hudson also selected, though he is out for 2 weeks. Still, he's been out for a while. And Ibarra's been the best player in the league. He is a likely MVP candidate, though wins above replacement does have Murchison, who I tried to target, couldn't get him, but big time power hitter. He's got 29 homers, 54 RBI already on the season, exceeding what he did all of last year at this stage. But Ibarra hitting .406, so he's still above 400 after 260 at-bats this season. He's doing fantastic on that part. He's also 1 homer shy of what he had a year ago, though the RBI is right at halfway. But that on-base percentage, the slugging, both quite a bit higher than a year ago, and provides good defense. And somehow is only a 3-star guy. An ill-timed injury to Ramsey David, our ace pitcher, has cost us a little bit, and we have struggled a little bit over our last 10 games or so. We're 32-42 now, where we were, I think, 30-37. So we're 2-5 over the last 7 games. Not a good stretch. It's also pushed us backwards a little bit. We're almost 8 games behind Miami. But meanwhile, on the relegation side, it's still the same too, but we're only a game ahead of Detroit at this stage. Ramsey David should be good to go probably for his next start, or definitely by the start after. And I've made one change in our pitching staff, and that was Bukowskis. Bukowskis had a 6.5 ERA, had just 2 wins so far in the season. Tucker Davidson, who's been our long reliever, has taken over that role, and we picked up another reliever on the waiver wire, this time Jason Foley, 29-year-old, fairly decent prospect, not great. He's had a 5.59 with New York, obviously not doing fantastic there, and I could see why they let him go. And he doesn't look like he would be fantastic for us, but slight upgrade, and definitely gave us an opportunity to see if moving on from, not Bukowskis, Brickhouse has been sent down to AAA. So Abraham Toro has been less than expected. He has not done a whole lot for us, and he's making $9 million. He was supposed to be a pretty significant upgrade at third base, and he's been anything but. So taking him and throwing in Bill Navis, who is a AA or single A shortstop, and already on the older side, but he's a 2-star guy. I mean, he's okay. But he's not going to get any better. He's already 28, and we have tons of depth at shortstop. Luke Williams technically is a first baseman, 2.5-star guy, and he is definitely better at first base than third, but we're going to try him at third potentially, or Yurchak. We'll see who fits in better. But we're talking about saving $6 million right off the bat, and somehow actually being an upgrade. Hopefully, we'll give him a shot. So Luke Williams is the trade we're going to make, and you're going to see our money improve by almost by about $4.5 million anyway. So Ibarra led off for the Loyalist League in the All-Star game. No surprise on that one, though he was 0-2. McCormick was right in the middle of the lineup, starting in the 4 slot, and he was 1-for-3 with an RBI. Run scored did fairly well, though the team ultimately lost 11-12. Top guy Murchison was way down at number 8 in the lineup, though he had a really good game, didn't he? McCormick's was a 2-out RBI double, so pretty solid on that one. Definitely helped the team, but surprising how high the score was. And it was actually a 9th inning walk-off. Wow. Checking in on the grander scheme of things, fan interest is still very high. Loyalty is still very high. We are 22nd in payroll, so I think we're kind of fitting in right where we belong ultimately here in this league. Attendance is definitely not topping out, but we're still doing a decent job bringing in some good money this year. Hudson finally back from injury, and I gave him a 4-day rehab assignment, and he was hitting really well. So instead of continuing on with the rehab assignment, I went ahead and brought him on back to the Major League roster. Making way was the young backup third baseman who only played about 4 games during that entirety of the duration of Hudson's injury. The change to the lineup now, Hudson back to the 2 spot. McCormick, who had been batting, I think, 6 before Yurchak came into the lineup, McCormick is taking over at the 3 spot. He has done really well. So Hudson back to the 2 spot, McCormick down to the 3 spot, and from the 3 spot is Winker way down the lineup. Now, Hudson is replacing the new guy we just brought in, and the new guy we just brought in is actually doing pretty well. Luke Williams has the defense. He's a great backup, and in 14 games since coming to the team, 53 at-bats, he's hitting .358, so I would like to see him get into the lineup quite a bit. He's definitely our strongest backup right now, and there's a chance, looking at the roster, that a Jose Rivera or a Manny Perez or a Jesse Winker, who are all struggling, could make way for a Luke Williams potentially in the lineup. At least short term, he's done well. Might be a fortuitous thing, considering how he was not playing particularly well, but Jesse Winker has picked up a minor injury that'll keep him out for 3 weeks. That's giving me the opportunity to do, 2 things. One, the call-up this time, a little different, because it was a DH, so I was like, okay, let's bring in some hitting. So Min-Jun Kim, who we signed as a free agent this year, entering this year, has been in AAA, hitting .282. He's done well. He's a decent defender and can hit kind of very neutral, 50-50-50. He does a little bit of everything. Being that Kim's a lefty and Williams is a righty, I went ahead and put Kim into the lineup versus righties, Williams in the lineup versus lefties, which is going to give us a little bit of diversity in how the lineup kind of shakes up for other players, because Kim, as a good defender, he's better than Luke Raley. That makes Raley the DH on those days and Kim out in center. And then Williams is a better defender than Yurchak. So we've got Williams as the first baseman when he's in the lineup, and Yurchak going to DH. So we're getting a little boost to our defense out of this. Winker not out in the field is definitely a boost. Winker was playing DH anyway, but that's overall it's giving us a little more of a boost, and it's giving us a little bit of diversity in what that lineup looks like day to day. I think it's a good thing. We'll see how Kim does hitting wise at this level. He did fine at AAA, but how will he do here? Big question. The only player right now who's looking a little bit out of his element is Kyle Holder, but he's still doing fine. He's hitting 250 this year. He's got over 100 at bats, and Rivera was cold for a while, but he's come out of that slump. He's doing okay. Luke Raley, his minor injury it's just a blister on his finger, so it is impacting him slightly, but not by a great deal. At 43 and 55, after that cold stretch we had, we have done okay through the last 10 games or so at 5 and 5. Defense is still our weak point. We're still right at the bottom of the league, but hitting wise has stayed fairly steady, and the gap now, Overland Park has dropped into the bottom 2, as Detroit has kind of consistently done well for a while. Detroit's now level with us, so good thing that Overland Park is struggling, because otherwise we would be in that bottom spot. But we are 3 games above the drop right now as we continue to struggle throughout this season. And looking on that other side, Cushion is still lower there than what it is here. It would be easier to stay afloat in the other conference. Amazingly, Miami still 4th in the league. They have not been able to make their way up as you would think they would be a favorite. A couple games behind Detroit now and level with Overland Park, and they've got us labeled as the team that would be relegated at this point. Defense has actually improved. We've moved up a little bit, but offense is scoring fewer runs these days. Is that the move we made with Winker? Is that not working out? Let's check in on the team. 47 and 63 right now. That's 110 games played. We are running out of games in this season. Remember, we're only playing about 130, so we've only got about 20 games to go to get this thing right to stay afloat for the year. Ibarra definitely not as hot as he used to be. He's still hitting 366 for the year, but definitely not in the low 400s like he was doing before. Yurchak, 294. Rivera, LeBoy are doing okay. Luke Williams, 267 is definitely decent. McCormick hitting just 253. Minjun Kim, 091. He is not doing well at all. Manny Perez also quite cold, so you can't just swap one for the other. In this case, our outfield is not producing much outside of Ibarra. OPS plus, yeah, Kim really struggling. Hudson also really not hitting the ball well at all this year. Wins above replacement, though, there's you only have the 2 guys that are really struggling, Kim, Perez. In Kim's case, we're not overly worried. It's only 22 at bats, but just 2 hits. Just 2 hits in those 22 at bats, and just 1 walk to go with it. And so he seems to be a little out of his element. We'll give him a little bit longer before we pull the trigger on a change. But yeah, he's not had a very good start, and we definitely need something happening here quite soon. A day later, Kim, by the way, got his 3rd hit, so that helped that average quite a bit. But Winker back from his injury. We've also already surpassed the point where we have expanded rosters, so Winker just comes off the DL, and we're okay. Winker only coming back into the lineup to replace Kim, essentially, as Kim has struggled. Williams is doing a lot better than Winker at this point, and I'm not going to mess around with the lineup otherwise. Let's hope that Winker's an upgrade here, but I'd love to see him do a little bit more with the pressure off. down near the bottom of the lineup. By the way, Tucker Davidson is just 2-4 in his 7 starts. So he doesn't have a great record, but his ERA has remained fairly low. It's not as good as it was, but it's not blown up. It's not gone crazy. And he's doubled his innings pitched for the year, meaning he's actually doing better than quite a few of the other guys in the lineup. So we will keep him there. He's doing just fine. Jason Adam got cold for a little bit, and that led to him having a higher ERA, but it's starting to come back down. And Tucker Davidson is actually hot right now, so this is good. Hopefully he can carry that momentum through. He just got re-evaluated from 2.5 down to 2 stars, but we'll hope the combination of him being hot will lead to a couple decent results. In the meantime, 50 at 64 has got us out of the relegation zone for the moment. Absolutely terrible timing. Our number 2 pitcher is going to miss the rest of the season. Dylan Nowicki. We've really only had the 2 guys that have been consistent this year, so that is going to hurt a lot. 53 and 67 right now is just enough to get us out. That's 120 games played now, so we are so close to the end of the year. We've got a 2-game cushion on Salt Lake and on Overland Park. Detroit, identical record to us, as we continue to battle it out among the same 4 teams. And Miami got hot and suddenly went from 4th to 1st in the West. So we have 5 series left to go, all 3-game sets. So we have Shreveport, slightly above 500, and on the road. We have Moreno Valley at home, but they're sitting in a promotion spot. We have Anchorage, but even though they're 4th place, I mean, they're 2 games out of 2nd, and in our very difficult conference. So we have some tough matchups. We do have Detroit as one of our remaining 5 series. The final matchup, the 5th matchup, is Boise at 60 and 60. I don't know how many games we're going to be winning the rest of the way. We do have a fairly difficult schedule. Detroit, the only easier matchup. Boise, the only middle matchup. And then we're looking at 3 above 500 teams. At least out of those remaining games, those 5 series, that's 15 to play. At least we get 9 of those games at home. Could and should help us a little bit, but it's going to be a little harder without Nowicki the rest of the way. This is going to be tight. So we lost all 3 games to Shreveport, and then league leader Moreno Valley at home. We actually swept. We won all 3. We go on the road to Detroit. This is an important set, and we lost the opener 6-7. If we can get, obviously we have to get at least one of these 2 to stay in position, but then we do have our final 6 games at home, and the slightly easier matchups. I mean, the hardest 2 were those first ones, and we split. We went 3-3 through that stretch. It would be really nice if we could win both of these at Detroit. I think that would put us in a great position with 6 home games left in the season. Let's see what happens with the first of these. A win 16-3 at Detroit will at least give us one of those games on the road. Like I said, if we can get 2 out of 3, I think we're in a great position here at the end of the season. We are still out of the relegation zone. Entering this game, we were at 2.5 and 3 games above those 2 bottom teams. We only go 1-2 though in that. But out of those last 6 road games, just 1-5. Not a good stretch. Perfect 3-0 at home so far. This doesn't put us in a great spot. We'll see what happens with the first game against Boise. Boise was 60 and 60, about 10 games ago. We win the first, so 2-2 over this stretch. Let's see where that puts us with 5 games to go in the season compared to everybody else. Still above the drop, and in fact, we've improved with that 5-5 record. We are 4 games better than Overland Park. We are, let's see, 5-2, 7, 3.5 better than Salt Lake City right now with just 5 to play, meaning it's looking fairly good. Boise has not done well lately, 63 and 67. We've got 2 more against them, and then we have Anchorage for the final 3. Anchorage 67 and 63, above 500, but only 4 and 6 down the stretch for them. Let's see if we can't turn this into security. 3.5 game cushion over Salt Lake City with 5 to play means you only need a couple wins and we will be secure. So we lost to Boise in 10 innings, 5-7. So that's unfortunate. That is going to knock us down a little bit. Salt Lake City did get the win as well. Overland Park, though, did not. So they are eliminated from playoffs, but are they officially relegated yet? I don't think so. Not quite. Four game edge there with 4 to play for us. Salt Lake City and Detroit has the same record that we do. Of course, not everybody plays the exact same number of games. It doesn't seem to work out perfectly, even though it should be a fairly easy thing to do. Final game against Boise. Can we go 2-1 in the series? We win 4-3. Huge win on that one. And we now have 3 games left to play. No game today for us. Overland Park gets the win, but we are now guaranteed to stay ahead of them. Salt Lake City is the one we've got to watch from here on out, and they won again to keep pace. So we are, 4 wins and 1 loss ahead. So 2.5 game cushion with 3 to play. It's not done yet. Detroit, we're a game ahead of them at the moment, so that's the other one to watch out for. Looks like everybody had a day off. Final 3 games of the season. Anchorage the opponent. And we go down 1-5 on this one. And Salt Lake City again claiming victory. Detroit with the loss, though. So at least we remain 1 game ahead of Detroit. But we are now just a game and a half ahead of Salt Lake City with 2 games to go. We still need to claim 1 more victory for safety's sake. 2 to go here against Anchorage. All right, so we're using the real-time simulation here with these last 2 games to see how things go. Patriot League already underway, but we have not had any of our games start just yet. But we will be keeping an eye out. So the first game that we are watching for the day is Detroit Wave Riders. They are 1 game behind us here, and they already lead 2-0 against their division leader in the bottom of the 4th. So they are playing at home, and so far for them, it's gone really well. 3 runs already through the first 4 innings of that one. So not a good sign. Things going a little bit better for us anyway. In the top of the 5th, we would like to see Detroit lose this one. And they've now played 6 innings. Still nobody out, 2 runners on. Escaping that inning without any runs given up, but top of the 7th is not going to result in any games either. Also, our games are now starting to kind of kick off, so we're going to slow things down a little bit. Let's keep an eye on this Detroit game and see how that one goes before we really kind of tie into what's going on in our game. We're probably about 3 innings in at this stage. Top of the 8th, and no runs scored there either. So just a half inning left before Detroit claims the win, closing that gap on us a little bit further. Oh, homer there in the bottom of the 4th. It's Murchison, of course. They've really benefited from his power this season. He's scored a lot of runs for them. And yeah, this one's just about done. 1 out. Top of the 9th. 2 outs now. Last chance. They do get a runner on, but they need 2 runs to tie. Full count. And that's game. That is game. It is done. So we're on to the other 2 games that matter. So Detroit has claimed the win. That's huge. We trail 2-0 in the top of the 2nd. Meanwhile, Overland Park is on the road. At least they're on the road with San Jose. And San Jose, I want to say, was one of the better teams in the standings. San Jose takes a 1-0 lead in that one. So we need either us to get a victory or Overland Park to lose to hopefully seal the deal. And right now, we're not getting the job done, but San Jose is helping us out. We've struggled a bit defensively so far in this game, and offense has been a little quiet through the first 2 innings. San Jose grabbing a third run here and continue to put pressure on. Runners on the corners, 2 out here in the bottom of the third, full count. Now a 4-run game as they again push. That was a single that pushed the runner from first to third, runner on third scoring, and that made it 4-0. So things are actually looking fairly good for us, even though we trail in our game. Now 4-0 as well. Not sure who was on the mound for us. I did not look that far into the details. We're kind of pushing quickly along. McCormick, I think, was at the plate there as we finally get our first score. I'm not sure if that was McCormick or not. No, it was Luke Raley. Luke Raley with the homer, his 21st of the season. Dang, he's hit quite a few homers. Solo shot on that one. So it does get us on the board at least. But we are struggling again. Runners on the... top of the 5th. Runners on the corner. It's Bukowskis on the mound. Of course it's Bukowskis on the mound. Bukowskis has really struggled. He and Brickhouse both struggled a lot. Brickhouse a little bit more. Anyway, 6th inning, meanwhile, in the other game, and it's still 4-0. And they've already had a quick 2 outs in that one. Looking like 3 up, 3 down, potentially. No, they get a runner on. 6th hit of the game for them. We trail by 3. And no trouble there in the top of the 6th. Overland Park unable to produce any runs in that one. We've still only had 3 hits in the game. Rough day for us, even though we do at least have 1 run across. Just that solo shot from Rayleigh is all we've managed. Overland Park gets on the board in the 7th, but they are down to just 2 innings to work with. Just 6 outs left for them, and they trail by 3. And meanwhile, it's the same story for us. Trailing by 3. We finally got our 4th hit of the game is all. And we're in a little trouble right now. Little pickle with 2 guys on. Overland Park also getting 1 guy on here in the top of the 8th, but they've already got 2 outs, and that is that inning. So now just 3 outs left for Overland Park, but we now trail 5-1 and still have not got out of the inning. We do finally manage to get that 3rd out, but trailing 5-1. Not looking good for us. We do have additional outs compared to them to work with. They're in the top of the 9th. They've already got 1 out. 2 outs now. And that's it. Game done. So Overland Park has lost. That means we should be safe, but we don't know if they have the exact same number of games to play that we do. So we still want to come away with a win at some point, but it is not looking good today as we trail 5-1, and we'll have just 1 game left unless we can do something with these 6 outs remaining in this one. We've got 4 runs to try to cover, and we have not done terribly well today at getting guys on base. Hudson at the plate now. Now McCormick. We've got runners on the corner. Can we get a little thing going here? No, 2 outs. LeBoy at the plate. He was 0 for 3 today, and that's the end of the inning. So, yeah, not looking good on our chances. Meanwhile, Miami is crushing Fresno. It's 11-0 in that one. 14 hits for them. The dominant force that you expected them to be, they've been lately. Cincinnati also leading in their game. Bottom of the 9th, Luke Raley, a 2nd home run for him, his 2nd of the game. But he has been pretty much the only one. Barofin at the plate. He's been playing out in right field today at the end of the lineup. Holder also in. Barofin had a hit anyway, but otherwise that's been it. That is game done. We lose as well. So we don't gain any ground, but we hold steady. And if they play the same number of games compared to us, we are secure now with 1 to go. But we don't know if that's actually the case. So we are 3 games ahead of Overland Park, by the way. It's Salt Lake. Salt Lake I was not paying attention to as the other... I was looking at the wrong team here in that one. As Salt Lake was the one who was a little bit closer, but they did lose their game as well. Detroit now level with us as they won and we lost. So just 1 game to go for us, but we have a 3-game cushion over both. Well, actually, it's not even that. It's a game and a half over Salt Lake. And remains at 3 over Overland Park. So Salt Lake, different number of games played for them. Okay, Salt Lake has just 1 game left. They can't catch us. We do have enough of a gap, so we are safe. We will not face relegation. We have just the 1 game remaining, but we are just barely staying alive this season. It'd be nice to get that win, have a bit more of a round number at 60 and 75. We'll see if that's actually the case, but losing Nowicki here late in the season really hurt. He actually ended up doing better than Ramsey David this season. Ramsey David 4.5 ERA. Nowicki just about a 4. Heisler, the other guy we brought in, definitely was an upgrade. He's had our 3rd best ERA at 5. And Ibarra just cold as ice down the stretch this season, really hurting that win-loss record as he's lost 100 points over the course of the season here. Meanwhile, just kind of wrapping up how the minor leagues are doing, 87 and 57. AAA, we've got plenty of guys that are close. AA, after being below 500, ended up at 76 and 55 after we added a few pieces, and they're strengthening them. Single A at 78-53. The short A group at 36 and 35. They only had a few rookie league guys and a lot of holdovers. That's still our weakest part of the minor league system, where we've got some pieces to offload. The rookie team, 36 and 26. Not all of those rookie players, about half a dozen of them ending up at the higher tiers, but that is a first, second, and second, meaning pretty dang good. Our team stats rankings: offense tied for 8th with 576 runs scored. Batting average has been top. We do well there, but the overall OPS, we don't have a ton of power. It's a big part of the modern game is power. A base running, a -7 in base running, so that hasn't been great, which is surprising because I have quite a few good base runners. Runs against, 11th. That's conference. Starters ERA just 12th. Bullpen much better at 7th. Pitching wins above replacement actually has been pretty good at 4th. Errors is 1st. So despite our defensive efficiency being at the bottom of the league, we don't commit errors. We at least have that, but it's our zone rating. Our zone rating is really bad, -23.2. So 1 place to improve. We give up a lot of hits that we shouldn't give up. Those 2 home runs put Luke Raley top of the team with 22. LeBoy has 21. McCormick has 19. That's not a huge number by any stretch of the imagination. RBI, LeBoy on top. Raley's been a consistent contributor. He's been in the more bottom end of the lineup, hitting 5, 7, but he's doing okay. Hudson brought that average up over 300. So he's at 304 for the season. He's actually really helped us down the stretch here. McCormick, not great, but he's getting the home runs, he's getting the RBIs, and he wasn't supposed to be in the middle of the lineup at all. His numbers have come down since putting him into the middle of the lineup. So you can see it's not really where he belongs. But Yurchak's been a really good pickup. He's got a sprained knee. Winker missed a bunch of time. Winker is somebody I think I need to trade during this offseason. And Manny Perez has been disappointing, as he was supposed to be an upgrade. So we do finally bounce back with a win in that final game against Anchorage, and I do like the fact that gave us a clean finish. nice round numbers, 60 wins, 75 losses, 5-5 over the last 10 games. All of that amounting to enough. Essentially a 3-game edge over the Chasers, though Salt Lake did not play the same number of games. Detroit ended up a game behind us. So we were, fourth from bottom. We did enough. We did just enough. Promoted sides, Miami, Fresno getting in there. Again, it was domination from our conference. Anchorage still had one of the best records in the conference. They were right there. Huntington Beach managed to stay above 500 even though they were 2-8 down the stretch and lost out to the other teams. Our division was just difficult. Beat them up. If we were in a different division, I think we would have had a better record by far. I think we would have been closer to Boise or Irving, Albuquerque. I think we could have been, not far off from 500 had we played against other teams. Cincinnati, Oakland, and Las Vegas make it really tough on Long Beach and Glendale, and yet somehow those two avoided relegation. It was Tucson, Monterey that saw relegation over on the other side. I think anywhere other than Patriot West, we would have done better over there as well, especially with more teams around, more teams that were below 500. Difficult division that we were in for sure. I think it was the top division ultimately, as we had 4 very good teams. Patriot West had 3 very good teams. Either way you look at it, that's probably the other place we would have been. Either way you look at it, we were looking at a pretty massive challenge, as the 2 West divisions were by far the best. By far the best. Especially Cincinnati, 97-41. Best record by far. Nearly 100 wins, despite still, 30 games, 20-something games shy of a normal Major League season. You don't see too many teams topping 100. All right, folks, that is going to do it for this season. We avoided relegation. Here's the thing, though. Viewership on this series is down quite a bit. These episodes take a really, really long time to do. I enjoy the game, and that's why I've stuck with it. But the viewership is lower on this than anything else, and I have a busy month coming up ahead of me. I have multiple series that are on the way here quite soon, so I'm going to make way for them. This is going to do it for the series. I wanted to at least finish the season. I wanted to get to the end of the season before moving on to something else and see where we ended up, whether it was going to be relegation or staying safe. Obviously, future goal would be to consolidate and stay pat in the league and continue to improve and show. I think the board falsely had us placed quite a bit higher based on how we did last season, and I think that's something they take into account, is your performance from the year before. But when you're getting promoted, they're not necessarily catching on to the fact that, oh, right, you're going to face tougher opposition. Where do you actually fit in? Turns out not so well. Just good enough to stay afloat, though. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for going on this journey with me. I don't know if I'll be able to continue this with my free time or not, as I just don't have a lot of that. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.